Welcome everybody, Team Boss Press Conference, Beaurepaires Sydney SuperNight. We did one of these in the Friday leading into Tasmania and we had a really good response. So we've got Stephen Grove, we've got Jamie Whincup, we've got Ben Croak, and we are ready to go with a room full of journalists and a night race on the horizon. Let's start with the man in the middle. It seems only fitting. I feel like you're P1 today, Steve. Good job. And let's talk about the season so far at Penrite Racing. Just the boss's appraisal of how your mob's gone so far this year.
Poor. You know, we've obviously got a young kid coming through, which is something that's going to take some time. It always does. So Matty's been doing a great job. He's been going really well. Our performance just probably hasn't been where it wants to be. If you look at the results, where we are in the team's championship and where we are in the drivers' championship, our results are below where we want to be. So we just need to continually work hard and try and get us back up to where we need to be.
I feel like we're getting to that time of the year where we're talking about next year a lot of the time, and I saw your team pop up in the news today. Do you have a preference as to who you'd like to see driving your two cars next year?
Well, for us, Matty's obviously got a long-term contract with us, so that's fine. Right at the moment, we're just going through an assessment process. We do that prior to determining who should or shouldn't, drive our car. So we're just going through that process now. For us, we're pretty focused that it's down the track at some point in time. We want to be championship contenders, and we need to get the right people to make sure we can make that happen. And if it's the current drivers, it's the current drivers. If it's not, well, it's not.
Do you feel like if you were to offer Dave another contract, would it be a short-term thing or a long-term thing, or is that part of the assessment process?
It's interesting. Especially with the two guys next to me. I always thought Triple Eight has done such a great job in their ability to have drivers long-term, and even DJR are doing that now with their current drivers. So consistency is really important. So the next contract would probably be more mid to long-term, whichever way we go.
Sure. Okay, thank you. There'll be plenty more to talk about. Let's get over to J-Dub.
Me too.
I hear you coming out of retirement. You're going to throw the suit back on and start ripping around from round one next year. Is there much in that?
Maybe. Never say never. We've all seen Alonso go do his thing, and it's only halfway through the championship there, but he's doing a great job. But we're in a similar position to Stephen, where we're sort of looking around. I wish I wasn't. I had both drivers contracted for 2024, but there could be a curveball there. So yeah. There's nothing more to add than what we already know. But it is what it is.
As we sit here in late July, on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 is highly unlikely, 10 is I reckon he's going to stay.
Yeah. Next
year, Shane, where are you on that scale, 0 to 10?
I think it's a 5 at the moment. It's a 5, yeah. There's not much for me to do right now until he says, hey, I really want to go to the US, But he hasn't made that call yet. I think he'll make that very shortly. Okay. And then once he makes that call, hopefully he stays for all of our sakes. But if he decides to move on, then I'll start the process of working out who's going to jump in that car.
Do you reckon how he goes to Indy is going to have any bearing on that?
It could. It certainly could. But we'd all like to make a decision before then. That's
only 2 weeks away.
It's only 2 weeks away for sure. Yeah. So we'd certainly love to. It's late in the day. It's the 12th hour really. It's past the 11th hour trying to work out who your drivers are for 2024. So we want to make a call sooner rather than later, and once we know a bit more, we'll certainly let you know. Not trying to hold any secrets. We don't know what the lineup's going to be for 24 yet.
If Shane does go, does that change any of the team dynamic around having him in there? Are we going to see more of what happened at Townsville with preferential treatment, one driver or the other? Either way, if he does decide that he's going to go, does Brock become the guy that you put all your attention and focus onto?
That's a loaded question. There was no preferential treatment that went on at Townsville in any way. No. That's that certainly didn't happen. It was a situation where we could have done a better job with communicating, but no one was hard done by in any way. So no, we've never had a number one or a number two. We've had equal opportunity for both drivers, which means both sets of engineers, both sets of mechanics, and that will continue forever.
Mm-hmm. Cool, excellent. Okay, good answer.
Thank you.
Benny, hey, well done in Townsville. Really cool to see the team get a win there. And just what's the feeling like at Yadala, taking a trophy home and rolling on to another racetrack now?
Big relief. been too long between drinks, so to speak. Really buoyed, lots of enthusiasm, and the group has really been working hard with the extra enthusiasm that has come from that. So it's just been a really good place to be for the last couple of weeks.
Can I ask you about your wildcard? That's pretty cool. Why Kai Allen?
It's very exciting, and why Kai is a really good question. It's not a secret. He drove our car last year on evaluation day, and we were really impressed. Like, he was 16 at the time, and he hopped in the car, and even before then, he asked all the right questions. He didn't do anything silly, but he was fast. And post that, we've just been keeping an eye on what he's been doing, and just feel like it's someone that needs an opportunity. The super licence change obviously aided that, probably coming a year earlier than what everyone expected, but it's exciting to be able to give someone like that, who's doing a really good job, an opportunity. And to bring Simona over and back to the series is obviously, it's tremendous as well. To have her come and drive a DJR car with the support that she's got around the world, it's been fantastic and been received really well everywhere.
Was Simona more opportunistic in the fact that she may have been involved elsewhere and that hasn't worked out, and you've just grabbed her because there was a great opportunity to do that?
No, we probably had 3 or 4 people on our list, and she was in the top 3 there of people that we wanted to have and come and drive our car.
Can I ask you who the other ones were?
No.
Okay, fair enough. On that note, let's go to the journos.
Jamie, have you sat down with Shane and told him that deadline, that you want an answer before Indy?
Yes. No, we're both on the same page for sure. We haven't set a deadline, it's not a line in the sand, but we certainly both our interests, we want to make a decision sooner rather than later, so we can both move forward.
Question to all of you. The super licence will be abolished next year in terms of it being a licensing issue. Ben, you just sort of referenced the entry criteria that is likely to stay with the Super 2 thing. What is your opinion on that? Do you guys support the fact that drivers have to have raced in Super 2, or should there be a bit more flexibility as we've seen with opening up for these wildcards?
It's a good question. I think I like the fact that we have this pathway system. Supercars is our product, and all the teams are well invested in it. So to have the pathway system where they need to be able to have done some Super 3 or Super 2 to be able to hop into these cars, I think I really like that. But it probably was too strict. I think what it's loosened up to now is probably okay.
From my perspective, I'm probably the opposite. I don't like the system. I mean, we had it firsthand with Matt, where we had to run him through Super 2. I think some of the overseas racing and some of the Porsche racing is underestimated. You look at the guys that have gone through Super Cup and Porsche Cup, I mean, they're the best GT racers in the world. And I just would hate us to see us limit getting those sort of people. The Matty Campbells, I mean, he probably would have always gone Matty, but I think it's important that we bring youth through, and I think they need to work out which is the right pathway for them, or else we won't get youth coming through. They'll all go overseas, and then they'll come back, which we've seen. So I think that the rule changing hasn't really changed anything at this stage, because Supercars, you've still got to abide by that. You've still got to abide by the original rule. It's just Motorsport Australia obviously distancing themselves from that, and we had a lot of discussions with Motorsport Australia over Matt Payne. And they were concerned about the process, and they did want to distance themselves. So it's up to Supercars now to see what they do.
I agree with both these guys, actually. We need a system in place. You can't just throw anybody out there at any stage. You need a licensing system. Was it too strict? Potentially. You don't necessarily have to do Super 2 or Super 3, especially in Gen 3. Now the cars are changing again. No, there's high quality categories all over the world that certainly if somebody needs to rank the quality of that series, and then have a numbering system or a point system, and then if you're eligible, you're eligible. So I think we've made an improvement. Can it get better, as Steve says? Yeah, for sure. We'll keep moving it forward and keep improving it over time.
Question for Steve. your assessment is that so far the year's been poor. What's the thinking with keeping a couple of test days up your sleeve, whereas obviously a lot of other teams have used that second test day already?
Yeah, we're pretty lucky because we've obviously got rookie days and evaluation days. For one of our co-drivers is going to be important for us. It's a catch-22 because the cars are evolving and the Gen 3 cars are evolving and there's changes. So we want to probably try and get as much data as we can and do as many tests as we can. But you want to keep a couple of them up your sleeve to try and determine who's best to be in the car. So it's a real balancing act for us at the moment.
Kai Allen, are we going to see a bit more of him? Like, is this just the start of the Kai Allen DJR story?
Well, we'll concentrate on this year. You will see more of him. He'll be at the track with us over the next few rounds and obviously at Sandown and Bathurst, so you'll see him then. But, for him, he's got his own Super 2 series to concentrate on as well. For him, he needs to win that or do really well in that. And we'll concentrate on Bathurst and then see what happens after that.
Jamie, we're all talking about Shane going to America. Give me that look. If he does go, do you think that there might be some other knock-on staff changes at Triple Eight or the operation? You know who I'm talking about. If Jess goes with him, or is that not something you're discussing? Well, she was with him in Chicago. We all saw the pictures. She's obviously invested in what he's doing. Have you given any thought at all to the fact that him going might create other knock-on effects?
Yeah, well, it's a hypothetical. If SVG goes, he'll potentially take his partner. That's generally what happens in life, doesn't it?
Well, not in my experience.
Not in your experience, yeah. You're a bit left field, PG. But no, in general terms, yeah, generally the partner follows the other partner if they've got a job opportunity and they're the breadwinner. Hey, that change could happen, but I don't think it'll go any further than that, where Triple Eight's much bigger than any individual, including myself. So you have one individual move on, it won't drop half a dozen now, that's for sure.
Okay, follow up. Similar. It's a question actually to all three of you. If you had the chance to go and race NASCAR next year, and you were the same, because you're a little older, if you were the same age as Shane, would you go? Would you go? Would you go?
I think if Shane's he's been a bit disappointed with a few things in his current environment at the moment. So yeah, go over and have a crack, have a bit of fun and see what you can do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's something I think that, if that's what he wants to do, I mean, it's a big market over there, great opportunity, new challenge. I mean, he's been doing supercar for a long, long time, so yeah, good on him, I think.
Yeah, purely with your racing driver's hat on, for sure. You want to be as diverse as you can and try new things. Like, he's achieved championships and Bathurst wins here in Australia, so why not go over there and try something new? He's clearly can drive and he's had some success over there, so it'd be good to see.
Tony Whitlock, Inside Supercars. To all three of you, you've all borne the price of Gen 3, which is not what it originally going to be. But I'm wondering, running costs now. Okay, we've got a smaller car, we're only 12 rounds this year. How are the running costs bearing out on these cars? Jamie?
Well, we've got to remember inflation as well. I go to Woolies and my shop doesn't cost me $200 anymore, it's $300. So we've always got to validate that against, it's very easy to compare the build of the Gen 3 car and the running costs compared to when we built our first... Thanks, Siri. Compared to, the last time we built a Gen 2 car was 3 years ago, So if we had to build a Gen 2 car today, what would that cost us and what would it cost us to run? So it's very hard to compare. I think it's a great product. And I'm a little bit biased because we designed pretty much all of it. Of course, there's some teething issues. We love down here in Australia and New Zealand, this side of the world, to highlight the small issues that we're facing. Things like the steering rack is a great example. We can certainly do a better job there. But then, hey, look at Formula One. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and the thing porpoised all the way down the straights. So it's a hard thing. We've built this brand new race car. The only thing that's changed over is the transaxle. Everything else is absolutely brand new. Roll it out. Cars look great, sound great. Anyone outside of pit lane reckons it's fantastic. So. We're on a good thing. Let's iron out the issue. Let's iron out the small things that we highlight massively. But overall, I think we've got a really good product for a long time to come. Running costs are well and truly on track. Gee, it wasn't long ago we were spending $1 million a year on engines, and that's dramatically decreased. And if you sit in the stand over here, can you tell that we're spending $200,000 on engines for the year instead of $1 million? No, you can't. They still sound great, they still perform well, and they're reliable. So that's a huge cost saver. Of course, we'll keep working towards what we can do with front splitters. Got damper rods bending. I don't want to open up a can of worms on the pull out the dirty laundry of what's going on behind the scenes. But all in all, I think we're in a good place.
Benny, just a quick one. There we go. Quick one from a Ford team point of view, just running costs.
Yeah, as Jamie alluded to, we haven't built a new Gen 2 car for a number of years now as well, and so the cost to build one of them would be pretty relative. Engines is a massive save for us. The running costs are probably quite comparable. The bodywork's a bit more throwaway than what it used to be, but it's a lot cheaper. So it's probably on par, to be honest, with kind of where we were, except for the engine costs being a really big save.
Just to go back then to Gen 3, reliability, the Enduros are coming up. We saw a lot of problems at Townsville when they pound them over the curbs. Is there a concern that these cars aren't going to last 500 k's at Sandown if they're going over that 2-3 complex or all day at Bathurst? All three?
No, there's no more concern than what there normally is. You pound your cars over curbs and put them through 1,000 kilometres of racing if it's high stress, So, no, what was there? There was a steering rack issue at Townsville? In the Mostert car, is that what you're referring to?
There seemed to be a lot of racks.
Yeah, of course. We need to do something with the steering rack. Supercars are on the front foot with that, so we'll improve that, no doubt, before we get to Bathurst and potentially have something new moving forward. But apart from that, the rear end's all very, very similar. Front end, we've changed the upright, but it's all pretty similar to what we've got. And of course the car's 80 kilos lighter or thereabouts as well. So there's less inertia, smashing over curbs and whatnot also. So no, there's no major concern at this stage that we're all going to stop at the 500k marker at Bathurst.
Steve, Davey had the rear end issue where he got hit late in that Saturday race at Townsville. Your thoughts then on the question?
Yeah, I mean, the feedback we get from the engineers, the cars probably aren't as tough, as strong as the Gen 2 were. It's a process. I mean, when we talk about parity and putting that aside, supercars have been heavily involved in trying to get that process right. And the cause and effect of that is we probably, as a group, haven't gone back and looked at all the products. I mean, as Jamie said before, we built a whole lot of components in the worst possible time, probably in the last 20, maybe 30 years with COVID, coming off COVID, and the cost of things is incredible. At this stage, and we did it at a pretty tough time in a pretty short period of time. I would have liked to have seen that we maybe had gone back and looked at redesign and looked at cost cutting and looked in better ways, because you can always do something better the second time, obviously, and we probably haven't done that. But reliability, the cars will make what they need to make, and the cars will be fine. But I think next year, if we can spend some time in redesigning and recosting and re-engineering components and how we make those components, the category will be better for it.
Yeah, kind of along the same line as Steve, really, just the hold no concerns that, the cars will be reliable for 500 Ks, 1,000 Ks around Sandown or Bathurst. All the teams here are top class. They'll do a really good job of preparing a car. So it's only going to be something like the steering rack, but like Jamie said, it's getting attention. So from our side of things, we go about our business and we prepare a car that we're comfortable with, that is going to do that amount of kilometres on the race day.
And another one for all three. As much as these press conferences are great, for us at least, it's a 2-day meeting that's still kind of a 3-day meeting. Thoughts on that? Why we're here today not racing? Is it a waste? Is it good?
Yeah, I think we should be doing a practice session tonight under lights before we just go straight into the race under lights tonight. We're all here. We've all been set up. We had a similar thing in Perth a couple of years ago where we all sat around on the Friday, and then lo and behold, the next year we were practicing on the Friday night. So I think, for me, I think we should be doing a 1-hour session tonight. But that's, there's reasons behind why we do all these 2-day events, and these other two guys have sat in the same meetings that I have, and how we end up with these decisions. It's just something to review, and like Steve said, we improve and make better for the next time.
There's commercial reasons why it's done. My preference is 3 days. That's always been my preference, because my preference also is we don't have enough rounds, because we race 12 times a year. It's just not enough. From a commercial perspective, forget the engineering side, we compete in a market against NRL and AFL and other codes to try and get that audience, and they're on 20, 24 times a year. So for us to go to 12 and then down to 2-day events, I get the commercial side from travel, but we're here all day, and as Ben said, we should be on track today is my personal view.
I'm not here nor there, but I love the 2-day event factor as opposed to these guys. Just get in, get it done. Just 2 big cracker days of massive action and get out of here. Motorsport's great at getting here at 5 o'clock in the morning and still be working at midnight over days. That's just what the sport's been. Hey, that's been what the sport's been for a long time. But we've got in my opinion, we've got an operational issue this weekend. So you can't use pit lane because all the sport categories are in there, and you can't pull your tailgate down because of an OH&S issue. So we've all got to roll in yesterday. You've got a half a day like a mad rush to get everything out of your truck in the garage, and then get your pit boom set up, and then we sit around here, pardon the pun, with your finger up your bum all day, waiting to get on. So if we're here, we may as well be racing, but let's fix the operational issue. Let's set up today and then have a cracker Saturday, Sunday. So I've gone backwards and forwards operationally. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy trying to create a calendar or create a format for the weekend where you got to pack all your events in and all the sport categories. It's a hard thing to do, but I think we can do a better job. And on Friday, do even pit stop practice as well. We're getting in that early for pit stop practice, yet we've got a couple of blocks during the day. Let's not come in so early. Let's get pit stop practice at 9 o'clock. Let's do a grid walk at the same time for the punters to go down, see pit stop practice, and let's combine it all. So, not criticising anybody, but I think we can go better with operational.
Question to Ben and also you, Jamie. You walk down the pit lane, and the first 2 garages are also the homologation teams, and you seem to be. Your team's not as good as it's been in the past. Your team's not as good as it's been in the past. How badly has being the homologation team impacted on your racing this year?
I don't know how much it's impacted our performance, but it's absolutely somewhat overwhelmed the whole team. With 3/4 of what we do is either building a car or homologating it, and we say, or Steve said, hey, we want to be improving steering rate. There's a 2 dozen things, high factor items on the car that we want to improve, but that's the cost of the parity debate. All we've done this year is try to align the parity, whether it's wrong or right. There's enough talk about it. There is a parity issue, but we don't know if it's sporting or technical. We don't know, and I don't want to open up the parity debate again because we all just want it to go away. But all my high quality engineers just spend most of their time working with supercars on parity, and we can't wait. Along with supercars, we all can't wait to see the back of it, so we can start improving the cars and start making them better.
You mean go racing, not developing?
We just want to go racing. We don't want to be involved in the ongoing. We put our hand up to be the homologation team. We're very proud of that. Built the car. Got the GM engine and bodywork together. We went to VCAT 1, and we thought that was going to be the extent of the homologation team's responsibility. Not that we didn't dream of going to VCAT 2 and then for it to be still in the middle of July, and we're still talking about homologating these cars and the changes. So I'm sure Benny shares the pain as well. You know, those guys have been run through the ringer the same as we have, but it's the way it is. We've got to fix it for the interest of the sport. So we'll continue to make sure we get it right, but we're looking forward to seeing the back end of it.
Yeah, from us, we're also very proud of being the homologation team, and we're in probably a slightly worse situation with the Ford, that the new model didn't get released until September last year. So we had to design 2 sets of bodywork in that period of time, and the second one in a very short period of time. So for us to say that it didn't have an effect, I think you'd have to have a good long hard look back in the mirror and say, no, it probably did. So, that's a review internally for us. But we did get a lot of work done, and it has been very overwhelming. But the product that we've got now, I think is, it's a pretty good product. It looks good, it sounds good, and needs some refinement for sure, but it has taken its toll. Last question.
Just Ben, for this weekend, how big a difference will the throttle body change? I ask you probably more than Steve because you've had the chance to test it. How big a difference is that going to make here?
Minimal. Yeah, it's hard to tell until you really go racing, and you're probably 50 laps into the race with really worn out old soft tyres. Maybe in the wet, some things like that might be a little bit better, but green tyres, quali lap 1, it's wide open. Like the engine doesn't know whether it's an 87mm throttle body or an 80. It's wide open, and it's you're going for it. So it yet to be determined over a race distance.
Last one, guys, just quickly. One stopper or two stopper tomorrow, Jamie? What do you reckon? Saturday night, 200 Ks under lights, no one knows. What do you reckon?
Did we change it to 3, or was it open, or was it still 2? Minimum one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we changed it to minimum 1. It was minimum 2, but we changed it to minimum 1 to open it up. But I'm not sure. I think plenty will still do 2. Hopefully, someone tries a 1 and it's out in front, the big carrot, and gets mowed down at the end.
3. My theory is, and I've told the engineers this, throw all the tyres at one race. Every green tyre we got at one race, and the next day, forget it. We'll just forget it. So that's our plan.
No, it's only one stop on Sunday, so it'll be fun.
Stop Sunday? All right, guys. Thank you. Well done today, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.